Hey guys, welcome back. Today we have a pile of basically a KSC KWA Krebs Customs KTR-03 KTR-03S gas blowback AK in piles. And today's video is going to be like a compatibility report, but before that we can take a look at this. I tried to find information about how this rail is attached so I can gauge how easily I can change out the front end of the KTR-03, but I couldn't find a lot of information on this other than the official exploded diagram and all that. In front of the rail here you can see that there is a pin there. It's not tight, it's there's a grub screw underneath. If you loosen it, you can use like a toothpick to just push it through. It's not a friction fit in there. And on the front side base gas block and front side base combo, there's a hole there for the pin to go through. So the pin is the thing that holds the front of the bottom rail in. You can see that there's a little bit of a mark there from the grub screw pushing on it. So the way that it works is that instead of the grub screw pushing against the pin to prevent it from falling out, it pushes onto the front side base, so it forces the rail to go down, and that's how it's held in place. And this piece on a regular AK-74 is going to be the rear side base, where the rear side leaf sits on, like so. It attaches to that position. And this style of rear side base, I think, is like a Saiga rifle or something. I think what the KTR-03 is a like a Saiga rifle for U.S. market, and therefore there's this weird looking rear side base without a rear side there, and Krebs Custom probably based their rifle on that pattern of rifle, so we have this. Anyway, the rear of the handguard, you can see here, there's a nub there. It sits in this piece here, and that's how it's held in place. So the rear goes into that hole, the front pins and gets secured, and that's how the lower rail of the KTR-03 fits on the rifle. I'm pleasantly surprised by the KTR-03 lower rail because, as you can see, it is fairly slim. It is about the same width as the AK receiver, which is going to be significantly narrower than like a M4 traditional quad rail, or like a Mark 18 quad rail, or like a MP5 handguard. This is very thin in the hands. It's very nice feeling. You can probably get away with like a cheap ladder style soft rail cover. You just cover the rail, and you're good to go with a pretty handy, slim feeling, nice handguard. I still don't like the look of the lower quad rail, no, not quad rail, 3 tri-rail, and I hope the front of the rifle doesn't look like this. So I will still try and explore different options of handguards that can probably fit onto this. Oh, and also I will measure the dimension of this hole and the outer This is the same piece as the rear side block, the outer dimension of this, so someone that has a Dremel or whatever can determine for themselves that maybe you can cut the bottom part of that off and fit a regular handguard onto it. What's going to be challenging is probably the top rail. So basically, if you sort this situation out and get yourself a KWA lower handguard front cap off of a AK74, you probably can get the AK74 handguard, the plastic one or other aftermarket one, to fit. And the top rail is going to be trickier because regular gas tube probably ends about here, and yeah, this you'll have to source a regular gas tube and a regular rear side base and the spring and whatever gubbins. Adds up to the price rather quickly, but perhaps you can do a AK74 front upper section change for your KTR if you really want to use a traditional AK style front end. If you use something like a Zenico that the top rail screws into the lower rail, you probably can get away with only fitting the lower rail and not bother with the top rail, since you don't need the gas tube or anything to keep it in place. You just screw it on. But there's going to be a gap here with nothing, so your rail is going to be a quad rail at this position from here to here and from here to here, which is going to look a little weird. Here I have a GHK AK74 plastic lower handguard, and as you can see, the protrusion to put into the receiver is quite different from the size of the KSC. So obviously this is not going to fit into this hole here, but we can try it on the receiver itself without that plate there. It's still too wide. Still quite a bit too wide. And the height of the block is roughly the same height as that cut out there. So maybe if you shave down the sides, you can put it in there. Another thing that I want to try out is the top dust cover compatibility between the KWA and the let's say a GHK. So let's compare them. From what I remember, the receiver of the GHK is based on the AG rifles by LCT, so the receiver is supposed to be slightly longer, but from what we just saw there, it seems to be fairly even. The cutout for the selector is a little more pronounced and back for the GHK AKM one though. Here's the front end just slotted back on. Let's see if the GHK one fits. The front doesn't want to go in. It probably doesn't fit unless and the rear is fairly close. It is, if the front goes in a little more, it probably will go down. But it seems to be a little the receiver seems to be a little wider. I'm not comfortable with slamming this top dust cover onto it, since that will probably scrape the hell out of this paint. Yeah, but you might be able to, press it onto it, since these dust covers can flex a little bit and helps to be a little tighter, and you can just pop it onto the receiver. It probably will fit, maybe with a little bit of at this point or at this point. Another thing that I wanted to test out is the rear stock, and this is perhaps not very useful information for other KSC AK users, since only 03 KTR-03 has a fixed stock rear trunnion. The AK74M and the AKS74U both have folding stocks. Anyway, it's held in place by these two screws. This is a Phillips head and this is a flat head, and it is a weird style of stock that the front of the rear stock is lowered. Usually it is the continuation of this surface down there. So a GHK fixed stock, a wooden stock or whatever, probably will not fit the KSC AK KTR. And a AG rear stock, usually it is held in place by one screw up here and one screw down here, from what I remembered, and it is also a little different, so that probably won't fit as well. Here's a aftermarket M4 buffer tube for my GHK AK, and as you can see, it is held on with these two screws as well. However, the front part doesn't drop down to like half the height. The screw holes might, be a little bit bigger, not by a lot, but a little bit. So, if you somehow can make a different kind, not KSC kind of stock to fit into the KSC KTR receiver, you might have trouble finding screws that has the right thread size and right head size to fit into the chamfer of the KTR receiver, and also be big enough for the threads that are in here. I want to try on aftermarket rear grips. I have the licensed US Palm GBB style rear plastic rear grip, and a Magpul K21. I think it probably won't work because there is a MB safety selector thing poking out here, and it sits into this cutout. So those grips, if they are the same width or similar width, this is even flared out on top of there, it's not going to fit that thing. Same as the US Palm one. US Palm one seems to be a little thinner, but it also flares out, so it probably sits about flush with the receiver, or a little bit stepped down like the saw grip here. So perhaps you can try and take this off of your KTR and put on another brand of gas blowback AK, since the AG ones need a motor at this position, so the grips are not interchangeable. However, from what I remember, you cannot buy this thing separately, probably because of licensing issues. So if you are to change this out, you'll have no grip here, and finding a grip to replace this is going to be a headache, so perhaps that is also not an option too. So you can't just take this off, you'll have no grip. That is not going to stop me from trying though. Here is the rear grip, and the rather interesting design. The screw for the grip seems to be in this block here, and it pokes out the bottom like so, and it also attaches to the trigger guard. The saw grip, like we discussed earlier, the thickest part of the saw grip seems to be about 28 millimeters wide from side to side. With the cutout, the total width seems to be about 26 millimeters wide. So so there's the cutout. Now with the MOE grip, it doesn't fit because you have to trim this down or remove this feature here, which is possible because the selector is a traditional AK selector, and that piece there is just I don't know if you can see it, but the bottom piece of the selector is like a plank down here, and this piece is basically just like a C round plate with a channel cut in it. So when this plank pivot front and back, this is going to pivot the opposite way. The plank goes this way, this thing pivots on this pin, goes that way. Plank goes this way, this goes this way. Now with the US palm grip, also not too wide on this side. You cannot put it on the KTR. Now how about a regular AK grip? I don't really feel like disassembling my GHK AKM to get that information, but as you can see here with a Bulgarian pistol grip, the edge is fairly close to the receiver, and the selector situation is like that, so perhaps it is a little bit it requires a little bit trimming of whatever kind of grip you put at that position. Regular Bakelite or Magpul ones, all the same. I think that's about it. There isn't much else to try and discuss here, since aside from the aforementioned parts, like the magazine is not going to be interchangeable, since GBB mags are different brands from brands, unless the GBB magazines in questions are all like Tokyo Marui copies, like a Glock pistol or like a 1911, etc. Yeah, so thanks for watching. Tune in next time for a better look at this KTR, because I've seen a number of damages. I had a KTR AK74 before. This really brings back the memory of why I got rid of that one. Thanks for watching.